we had this latest drama which occurred because of something that went out on a broadcast. In fact, multiple things went out on the Blast Lisbon broadcast that's still ongoing at the moment at the time of recording this. And it seems to have generated quite a brouhaha. Now, I want to remind everybody, as you can see from this tiny little thumbnail for Ants, I made a video about this. And it was called something like esports broadcasts have got to get it together. Got to get their shit together about what they put out. Because ultimately, I knew something like this was going to happen. It started with the Flames E-Finger, which was used out of context and everything else. And it did make people, fucking upset with him for doing something he didn't do. And obviously we had a broadcast as well, which you can see with some skins that said a not to. Very nice word on the side using stickers. And they just put that out there. So obviously what's been going on with Blast, it's kind of been worth watching. So first of all, I'll just say right out of the gate, when you go to a tournament as a team, you agree to go and have cameras all around you, and you sign waivers, and you say, you're going to use our communications, and we're going to, get recorded, and you're going to hear things. We're going to hold up bits of paper, and you're going to have cameras, and people are going to see things. So for me, to complain after the fact is absurd, because you've generally agreed to give that away. What you should be doing is coming together and saying to tournament operators, look, we don't mind doing a pre-recorded, pre-screened, pre-agreed communication section from a really, really sick play. That's fine. But this just live cameras in our face when we're doing team talks or whatever it might be, that's not going to work for us, because that only can do bad things for us. It can do no good. It doesn't do anything cool. You make a sick call, people just go, yeah, that's your job. You have a mental breakdown, you look like an asshole, then, yeah, everybody sees it. There's some stuff that has to be sacred. It's why you don't have fucking cameras in the locker rooms, at halftime in a football game. Would it be great content? Yeah. Do you want to hear the things that players and coaches say? Probably not. And when these things are done, like the series they have on Amazon, well, yeah, it's all pre-recorded, pre-screened, pre-approved, etc., etc. So I did notice that maybe this was going to get a bit weird, because there was this. Blast leaked FaZe strats versus Spirit on Anubis. And it was just literally next up, best of 3. They were looking through the notes for the game in the break, and the cameraman is just, you can just zoom in on this. You can see the words, see what he's looking at, and I'm like, yeah, that's not great. That shouldn't be happening. And of course, Reddit being Reddit, it's all in code. And so there was something in it called France Default. Now, obviously, if any of these things are going to be offensive to anyone, though they're not for public consumption. And it's like, I don't know, maybe when you see the fucking strats, you don't point the camera at them. I don't know, but then they've agreed to this. And by the way, this didn't blow up. Nobody complained about this. FaZe didn't complain about this. Here's the problem you've got from an integrity perspective. If there was something worth reviewing there for Spirit, it's absolutely possible that there could be a way to get that information to somebody related to Spirit to have it relayed to them. We saw this, for instance, at previous Blast events, where there was just people walking in and out of the fucking play area with their phones, and they had a fucking live stream in the background. It was like really slipshod. So I don't know enough about Blast events to know what integrity measures they took. But for me, that going out live on a broadcast between maps, that's not great from an integrity perspective. It's probably super impossible and super unlikely any negativity could come from it, but, I wouldn't want to see the X's and O's on a fucking chalkboard from I wouldn't want my opponent to see that, at halftime or whatever, if I was making a tactical adjustment. So there was that. And as I said, nobody got upset about it. It was just like, strats, cool. Then we had this.
I just feel like last one. I don't know. I just feel like last one was obviously a bit unlucky, but
What?
yeah.
Then
Even should I
talking.
call something?
No, I'm just thinking.
We'll listen to that again.
I don't know. I just feel like last one was obviously a bit unlucky, but
What?
yeah.
Then
Even should I
talking.
call something?
No, I'm just thinking.
And this made it to the front page of the subreddit with the title, Nico, call something, exclamation point. Which, as you can see, is a misrepresentation of what happened in the clip. What he actually says is, do you have an idea or should I call something? And Zonic says, I'm thinking. At no point did Nico scream, call something! Which would have been great. So this is pretty much what happens in a timeout. You know, when you take timeouts, you take them for a variety of reasons. Timeout can be because you just want to fucking do a reset, like cool everybody down. You've lost a string of rounds. People are just in the hole and you need to try and get them out of it. It can be to make an adjustment. It can be when you're playing from ahead and you're like, okay, look, let's do this adjustment now. Let's call these rounds here. Let's do this. It can be for a pep talk. Can be for anything. For me, again, this isn't something I'd agree to if it was my team. I wouldn't want this going out on a broadcast, frankly. I don't see what this helps. Is it interesting for the fans? Yes. Can it make really cool, compelling content? Evidently. But does it have the chance to backfire in a career-ending way for players and coaches? Yes. And I don't think that level... I think games are high-risk enough. I think the stakes are high enough without having to add an extra layer of pressure to what you do by having it go out public where previously it hadn't, and it hadn't been a consideration. So I understand what Blast are trying to do. They're trying to make content and they're trying to make their product stand out and be more interesting. But I also noticed on a previous show, they had a bunch of hot mics. You can't combine this level of intimacy and fly on the wall and hot mics and all sorts of stuff. It's got to be so tight what you put out on your show. So why did people not like this? Well, people didn't like this because it sort of made Zonic look like a big dum-dum. It made it look like Zonic didn't really have any ideas. You've got this like 18 seconds of silence and Zonic's going, I'm thinking. And Nico's offering to call something. We know Nico is already talking about... I mean, it's been a rough week for Zonic. Let's put it that way. I mean, before we even get into anything else about this, I can understand why it triggered a bunch of people. Because they keep letting him do interviews. Let's have a look at the interviews that he put out in like the last week. Okay, we had this one. This is a fucking bang-a-langer. Zonic on Nico CT side calling. He's the best I've ever worked with. Is he? Is he? Is he? The best CT caller you've ever worked with is Nico, is it? No one else. Not that guy you won a bunch of majors with. Glaive just not ticking that box anymore, is he? Nico is officially better than Glaive, is he? I don't know. I'm just gonna call bullshit on that one. So yeah, not vibing with that. Right? Then he said this. In modern CS, you can't build a team from scratch. And you see, what he meant was he can't build a team from scratch. In fact, many people have built teams from scratch and done well. Gamer Legion immediately spring to mind, having done it multiple times as a matter of necessity and yet consistently remain competitive in and around that top 20. Na'Vi built a team that wasn't from scratch per se, in the sense everybody was totally new and not unaffiliated with the org, but pretty much if you look at how they put it together, it was done via a series of recruitments. It's a bit of a Theseus's ship, if we're being honest about it. Obviously, Ents which it's kind of academic to keep talking about ENTs at this point. So you can build a team from scratch, and it's a silly thing to say, and I don't know why he keeps doing these interviews. I don't know why he keeps doing these interviews and making these points that are just risible, while he's probably the highest paid coach in the world, and all he has to show is sustained failure. Like, I don't know. When things aren't going well, there's a very good truism in sports. Just keep your head down. Just stay out the spotlight. Less people remember you're not doing well. And yeah, it's probably silly to point it out, but when have Falcons ever tried? Falcons took one look at the ranking system and the invite system, and every time they've bought a core of a team to cheese it. Because they're not building up their rankings. They're not going through qualifiers. They're not doing any of that shit. We're Falcons. So I just don't know why Zonic just will not keep his fucking mouth shut. It's like, bro, you might be the goated coach of all time, but when it comes to PR work, when it comes to media work, you just haven't got it, mate. You haven't got a fucking clue what you're doing. And you disgrace yourself and your legacy every time you open your mouth. It's actually crazy. Anyway, there was also another thing that came up after the game. So remember, they've done the whole Nico call something clip, which went viral, and I don't think it's as bad as people are saying it was, and it was misrepresented by whoever posted it, right? Then there was a post-match interview where they were like trying to talk to Dexter, and he'd lost like a 22-20 game, and they were asking him questions, and he was just like not biting on any of them or whatever. And people are going, well, he said he wanted the toilet. He needed a wee-wee. So why did they ask him the questions? Why is everybody so mean? Right? Like, listen, guys, I hate to break it to you. That's Falcons bad. If let's just assume Dexter has held in a piss for a 22-20 game, he's absolutely bursting to the point where the urine is attacking his brain cells, and he's incapable of answering a question. Do you know that Falcons are the ones that say, right, Blast ask for a player. Falcons get to say yes or no, and they're obliged to put in a second. So if you don't get Dexter, you get somebody else. They're obliged to do it. That's the media obligations part. If they sent Dexter, and Dexter's like not in it, not in a headspace, about to piss himself, and he's like worried he's going to have that nightmare he used to have when he was 12 in the school play, then, you know, that's on his team. That's on his management. But of course, no, once again, like Dinko, lacking empathy. Blaster bad, blaster evil. How dare they ask generic questions in a generic question segment? 3 similar nonsense questions, expecting him to answer it. Tough watch. Won't somebody think of the millionaires? Super easy to grasp. This is part of the job. This is what you do as a player. You have to generate value for the product that pays you. You can't do it or you don't want to do it. Just fuck off. Go get a job. No one's forcing you to be here. Go get a job. It's wicked. You get 15-minute toilet breaks. You get 2 of them a day. Piss up a storm. Put the fries in the bag. It's great. You'll have a wicked time. What, you don't want to do that? Right, then shut the fuck up, tie a knot in your prick, and do a fucking interview like an adult. Real straightforward. So anyway, there was a lot of, as you can imagine, negative sentiment towards Blast, and particularly about the clip that went out. So then we got this. By the way, here we go. It's your boy. We have submitted an official complaint to Blast regarding this social post and it being put out during broadcast. It forcibly lacks context by not showing the entire timeout, which they can't do because there was a tactical element discussed towards the end of it for the sake of creating a bait tweet and noise and giving a false impression of the coach and players. The response of other CS coaches against the tweet says it all, right? So we'll take a look at that in a moment, right? But I find it embarrassing to see a global director of esports at one of the world's wealthiest orgs, let's say, publicly talking about bait tweets in the engagement. Do you think Blast having engagement around your games is a good thing, mate? Again, I'm not saying I would have been happy with this going out, but you can make your complaint without publicly pointing out to it. This is just Falcons. Falcons think they're bigger than every tournament they attend. They don't want to do media work. By the way, I'll just let you in on this. There's a guy who handles all of their interviews, all of the events they go, what players have to do the interviews. He's an arsehole. He's a scourge. Like, people are just like, you know, can we just have this player at this time? It's real hard work. They are one of the toughest orgs to work with in terms of content creation for organizations. And I'm not just saying that like it's a PGL thing. I think it doesn't even affect my job. I'm talking about every event, every TO. Falcons are difficult, and they just believe they are entitled to preferential treatment everywhere they go because of the money. And, of course, because, well, we're the Saudi org, and you're owned by Saudi, right? Saudi owns everything, so roll out the red carpet for us fuckers. Do what we say. The content must be approved by us, or we'll complain. We'll stamp our widow feet. In terms of him saying, right, he said, wait, look at the other reaction from coaches in response to this clip. It was Mither, why would you share this? And Taz, definitely what our community needs. Without being too mean to two people I've known a long time, I'd say maybe just focus more on your shit at the moment. And then there isn't another coach there complaining. So Falcons are like, all of the coaches were outraged about. No. They certainly weren't, sir. So, I don't know. You appear to be somewhat delusional. Anyway, I always like it when Scrawny's feeling himself. He replied to the HLTV news post about it, saying this is the same organisation that complains to TOs behind closed doors in order to control what casters are allowed to discuss on broadcast. Soft as fuck. And then he went on to add, they're not the only one, by the way, and I'm pretty sure he's explicitly referring to Astralis, because Astralis have done it on a number of occasions. Evil Geniuses have done it on a number of occasions. I mean, I told you about what happened in Cluj, where it was like, Device left the stage live, right? Not like in secret, because we're in front of a fucking crowd. So Device left the stage in front of the crowd to go and be sick because he was having a stomach upset or whatever it might be. Left the stage. We referenced it on the desk saying, you know, Device had a bad map and then he left the stage. We had a timeout there because he was vomiting apparently. That's what we got told. Blah, blah, blah. Astralis complained. They didn't even talk to their players first. They complained about how dare the desk bring up Device's health. By the way, the most publicly discussed health problem of any CS player ever. And then, because Astralis complained first but didn't tell their players, Cadian then did an interview and went, Device left the stage to puke. And we were just like, what even is this? Like, we got told don't mention it again, and then Device brought it up. And that's why we did the segment where Maui kept going. And as Cadian said in that interview, apparently Device left the stage to be sick. And I was going, well, I don't know. And he was going, no, because Cadian said it in an interview. So we just kept doing that bit back and forth. That's how pathetic these orgs are, right? Now, on this note, yes, Falcons are notorious. They get pissed off with the casters. They get pissed off about jokes about the bag. They don't like that. They don't like it if you make a joke about the bag. They get pissed off when people like do copy pastas, like during Pro League or whatever it was. Like there was a clip that upset them apparently.
Falter at the final hurdle. Energizing win for Eternal Fire. You really hope to see Eternal Fire have strong showings, especially against opposition like this. Again, it was a good match. I'll definitely continue to support Eternal Fire in the future. It's a fantastic game, guys. Good luck. GG. Next.
Right, now, Harry's just a legend reading a very popular copy pasta from the chat and doing it in such a way that you wouldn't even know. And if you know, you know. It was one of those, right? Obviously, if you've seen the copy pasta, the key component to it that makes it anti-Falcons is that it says, like, I'll continue to support team that isn't Falcons. You know, it's like all anti-Falcon stuff, right? So, anyway, again, I'm told that this upset them. There it is. People are putting the copy pasta. Energizing win for any team playing against Falcons. You really hope to see any team playing against Falcons have strong showings, especially against opposition like this. Again, it was a good match, and I'll definitely continue to support any team playing against Falcons in the future. Fantastic game, guys. GG. Good luck next. Apparently, this pissed them off. These guys are so fucking humorless. They think they can just fucking swing it about backstage and fucking, you know, try and leverage their money and their influence. And Evil Geniuses did this as well. Like, I think when, again, it was a Pro League, they did a joke segment where it was like things you wouldn't hear at an Evil Geniuses boot camp. And I think Henry got up and said, right, guys, why don't we just practice really hard or something like that? Evil Geniuses complained behind the scenes. Wrote an article about it on my Substack. It's just fucking, like, these orgs are pathetic. This is another thing, by the way. I never thought I would get to a point where I was like, fuck these orgs. But I am actually fuck these orgs because they will. You're not allowed to poke any fun at them. You're not allowed to say anything bad about them. You're not even allowed to tell the truth about them and talk about narratives that fans are talking about. If you do that and they don't like it, they will try and shut you down. And keep in mind, you might go, well, what can they realistically do? Well, they've had people pulled off broadcast. They've certainly threatened, like, oh, if it happens again, we won't come to your next event. Remember, Thorin used to work with Blast until he tweeted, why don't you fucking cry about it to your girlfriend, to Device publicly, and Astralis told Blast, tell Thorin that he cannot tweet about us, about any player or our org for the rest of the event. Like, who the fuck are you silly cunts? Like, who the fuck are you, for real, like? You're not paying Duncan. So anyway, Blast told him that, and he said, you don't get to control me in that way, sorry. And he left the show. And instead of everyone going, wow, Thorin was really well principled in that instance, no, you go, Thorin's so unprofessional. The unprofessional ones in that were definitely Astralis. And that's why, by the way, their downfall is to be celebrated at every single time it occurs. Anyway, we now get into why are some things not like the other? Okay, I want to take you back because this has happened before. I know it's going to blow your mind, right? But there was a clip that went out, and it was by ESL. Let's have a look at that clip, yeah? That ESL put out. And it involved a top team, and it involved things being said in comms that maybe they would have preferred not to go out publicly. It's your friend, it's your boys Navi, and it's Alexi B and Imma.
Oh, God. Alexi, let me go connect next time if I have first one. I was very close to it.
Can you fucking play one round without saying something after?
No,
really?
bro, what? It's good. Bro, it's fine. Just chill out.
Good.
And we'll just play it one more time.
Oh, God. Alexi, let me go connect next time if I have first one. I was very close to it.
Can you fucking play one round without saying something after?
No,
really?
bro, what? It's good. Bro, it's fine. Just chill out.
So, yes, you can hear there, right? They're 5-1 up against Tyloo, right? Like, there's no need for anyone to be stressed at all. And basically, Imma's like said there, can I, next time, can I go here and do this? And Alexi's turned around and gone, can we get to the end of the round without you saying something about the round that's just happened? And I think, personally, you really must be Alexi's not the kind of guy to do this. This is very out of character. And so, for whatever reason, Imma might be agitated or whatever it is, but he's pissed Alexi off big time. Like for him to just come out and go, will you just when a round's over and we've won it, will you just shut the fuck up? Because you're doing my fucking head in. For him to get to that stage is obviously he's been pissing him off. And so these are the things that happen in teams. Does it mean Alexi B hates Imma? He's going to kick him? No, it doesn't mean that. Does it mean Imma hates Alexi? He's going to look to replace... No, it doesn't mean that either. It's just when you're in a competitive team, you're going to say things to each other and you're going to go to places, and sometimes it's going to be fractious. Sometimes it's going to be, direct, right? That's just how feedback is sometimes, particularly when, your testosterone's fucking going, your energy's up, your adrenaline's pumping. Sometimes feedback can be good for the overall team, but it just hits you wrong, and it hits you at the wrong time. You used to happen all the time in fucking rugby. People, you'll fucking say like, you can't miss a tackle like that or something, and it'll just be like, you fucked up, and now someone's gonna, you're my teammate, and you're gonna tell me like, nobody needs to fucking tell me, right? I know I fucked up, right? So you're gonna get a little bit tilted. Now, your partners, ESL, they're meant to do you a favor and not put this out, because otherwise the fans would never know this, Reddit would never know this, social media would never know this. But again, they saw a spicy clip and they thought, if we put this out, it is the engagement and spiciness and drama, and maybe it will go on live stream fails, and maybe Keemstar will tweet about it, and then we will get more clicks, and after all, isn't that all that matters? And that's what they thought. Now, interestingly enough, after all of the negativity towards Blast, this didn't seem to generate anywhere near as much. The subsequent Reddit thread was basically pretty straightforward. 129 comments. You can see, look, all they're talking about is Imma and Alexi, and Imma's got a strong... Alexi, the people who accuse Alexi of toxic have never been in a competitive sport. There's no one saying, how dare ESL allow this to go out? Okay, there is one there. Why is ESL airing this? And people go, oh, it's good. This is a good thing. So it's fine. It's when ESL do it, and many such cases, when ESL do it, it's fine. And there was an interview that came off the back, and it was, well, first of all, Blade had to come out and just chill everybody out. He said, listen, guys, when people argue, it shows they care. That's what we're doing. We're all caring. Care. And that was that. And so everyone went, yeah, they do care. That's fine. No big dramas there. And then on play.gg, which is probably going to assault your eyeballs with 1 million pop-ups. Let's see. He said here, it was full bullshit. Imma on heated clip with Alexi B. When asked about it in a post-match interview, it was bullshit. I've said it before and I can say it here. It was full bullshit. We had so many rounds cheering for each other, and ESL decided to put this round for everyone to see. It was like, what the fuck? Imma said to Blast in a post-match interview yesterday. Do you feel a bit thrown under the bus with that clip? No. Me and Alexi were joking whenever we were fully chilling. Alexi asked me, do you have problems? And then I was like, yeah, I have many problems, Imma stated with a smile. Who was most upset about that clip getting leaked? Alexi didn't know. He found out pretty late, but we were just very frustrated because of that clip. Only because after our call for the next round got leaked, which is not nice. So on top of that, they called, obviously they were calling the next round, so that's kind of out there too. I mean, you can show this little fight, whatever, but don't give our strats away. That's full annoying. So ESL essentially did what Blast did, right? They went full bullshit, potentially leaked the team's strats, potentially created a situation that their coach had to come out and publicly mitigate. And yet, interestingly enough, Reddit don't have an opinion about it. It's fucking crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. It's almost as if when ESL do it, it's okay. Now, I'll take you back in time, and I'll just say, if you want to avoid situations like this, you have to go back and do what y'all did in 2020. And this is, the CSPPA came together to deny Blast the right to use voice comms and voice recordings. And they put out this statement here, right? And they said, during this year, Blast have implemented a number of new features at Blast tournaments. These features include requirements for players to have voice comms recorded without knowing who has access to such recordings and how they may be used and stored. Ultimately, players have experienced that voice comms were shared with analysts and others, which has led to sensitive tactical information and personal information being shared among people in the community. Information which was never meant to be shared and should never have been shared with analysts and others in the first place. Further sections of these recordings were broadcast without the prior knowledge of players. Additionally, Blast now require that players allow Blast to record and store video of players, as well as video of each player's screen during games. The players fully appreciate the need for measures to be taken in order to safeguard the integrity of the game. Even so, such recordings severely affect performance of the PC, and there are other measures available that would not. Further, such recordings contain sensitive and personal information, and players have no control over who can access it, how they are stored, and when they are deleted. In the end, ultimately, this is what led to the first ever player walkout in Counter-Strike history. This was deemed to be a big enough issue that players didn't play until Blast agreed and said, no, we're not going to do it that way moving forward. Now we're back here, there is no CSPPA, then I'd say, look, you're going to do something. Like players, without being too crude, you are fucking taking it in every orifice right now. I mean, you've had your prize money cut in half. At the behest of the people that pay your salary. Valve aren't coming to your defense. You've had clips now just being used with wanton abandon for the purposes of entertainment and clicks. And it's your job that's on the line. You know, when are you going to put your heads together and actually push back against some of this stuff? And you can't just sit back and go, yeah, but I really like the salary and I like the privileged position I'm in and the money. And it's not good enough, guys. You've really got to fucking go and actually push back against some of this stuff, because you're losing money and you're losing protection over your own image and what is put out by your broadcast partners, and the levels of abstraction you've got in terms of who is your advocate. The tournament operators don't give a fuck about you. The organization doesn't give a fuck about you. Your individual agents, they just care about getting you a contract so they can get their percentage. Like, this is all pretty big stuff that's all happening at once is what I'm saying. And if you're going to let this slide, that's fine. But something bad is going to happen. Someone is going to say a pejorative that cannot be forgiven. Somebody is going to say something when they're playing a woman's team. Someone is going to say something that is deemed by the internet to be beyond appropriate, totally inappropriate, and then it is going to come back and bite you, and you're going to wake up and you're going to get fired. And it could all be headed off now, but you're not going to do that because you don't have foresight.